Mr. Pollack, what do you think hospitals need now as we're looking at the second half and we're looking at a new resurgence in areas that had done pretty well up to now?
Well, as you said, we have seen, according to our reports, hospitals are now facing the greatest financial crisis that we have ever faced in our history. And we're confronting a triple threat here. First, it's the rising number of uninsured people because of people losing jobs. We take care of everyone that walks through our doors. The second is the increased expenses we've had to absorb in terms of both preparing for and caring for COVID patients and the communities we serve. And third is reduced revenues by having to shut down regular operations. As you indicated in our report, we've been losing $15 billion a month as a field, and will continue through the end of the year to lose $20 billion a month. And what's been allocated thus far, we really appreciate, but I think we're going to need more.
Do you think that Congress could really make hospitals whole here? 2/3 of the hospitals you surveyed don't expect to get back to normal pre-COVID levels this year, maybe even next year. Moody's is saying they're thinking it's more likely to be in 2022.
Well, you know, depending upon how these funds are dispersed, there's a range of the degree to which people could be made whole. But we're not expecting that people are going to be completely made whole as a result of that. We would love to see that happen, but it doesn't appear as if there will be enough money in moving in that direction. You know, again, by shutting down regular operations, that has what has really undermined the financial viability of the field in particular.
You know, and we're seeing that again in areas that are seeing increased surges right now, and particularly in rural areas. Of the 30 hospitals that closed last year, 19 were in rural areas. And according to the Chartis Center for Rural Hospitals, they estimate that some 450 this year are at very high risk at the moment. And many of them are in the areas that we are seeing the surge right now. What has to be done for rural areas in particular? You already have people who drive often more than an hour to get to a health system.
Yeah, you know, you make a very important point. In fact, even before COVID hit, roughly 1/3 of America's hospitals were operating in a negative position. And certainly the areas in rural America, as well as vulnerable communities in urban areas, are under severe strain. And we have seen allocations made out of the emergency relief funds to rural hospitals, and we have to continue with a focus on helping rural hospitals. We've seen a lot of innovations take place in extending care to those areas as it relates to telehealth, and we need to continue to move in that direction. So we have to pay attention to vulnerable communities, both rural and urban as well.
Yeah, Rick, this is Morgan. I mean, along those lines, you're talking about rural hospitals and also vulnerable communities in urban areas. In general, when you look at numbers like this and what we're seeing in terms of this uptick in coronavirus cases and hospitalizations in certain parts of the country, is the bottom line here that we are just going to inevitably, unfortunately, see some hospitals close? And if so, where are you worried about that?
Well, I think, again, we have always been concerned, even before COVID, that there were hospitals at risk for closure. And without the appropriate assistance coming through from the federal government and from the Congress, we will see hospital closures. We're very concerned about that. And it is so important that hospitals remain resilient. We are the foundation of the healthcare system, and we are the backbone of it. And certainly in this situation where we're seeing COVID and spikes in COVID and potential reoccurrence, we have to stay strong. Our communities and our patients are depending on it.